Welcome back. In the last video, there was quite a lot of talking, but we did cover the problem space, what teleport is, and how it solves these challenges. So now it's time to get our hands on the keyboard and actually deploy our first teleport cluster. By the end of this video, you will have a working teleport cluster running on Kubernetes with TLS certificates and an admin user ready to log in. Access the right way. Now, before we start, let's talk about what you need in order to follow along. First, I'll be using Kind, Kubernetes, and Docker to spin up a local Kubernetes cluster. Feel free to use Docker Desktop or anything else that you wish. You don't need a cloud account, so you don't have to worry about billing and all that other stuff. But if you do want to use JKE, EKS, anything like that, feel free. Once we have a working Kubernetes cluster, we're going to use the teleport Helm charts to get things deployed. So that does mean that you will need access to the Helm CLI and of course kubectl for actually talking to our cluster. There's only one prerequisite, and that is deploying cert-manager. Now don't worry if you haven't done this before either, it's just one Helm install away. So, in order to get started, you can run the check prerequisite script that I will do now. So in the demo directory, if you clone the repository, there's O1 check prerequisites. This is just going to confirm you have kubectl, Helm, and Kind. Of course, if you don't have Kind, you're using our cluster, that is okay. So now that we have all of our tools installed, the first thing that we want to do is get our Kubernetes cluster running. Here we have a Kind configuration. Now we don't actually need one for this really simple cluster, but we may wish to expand this as we build out highly available multi-node control plane and worker node pools later. So we have Kind cluster, control plane, and that is all. We've kept this very simple for the first demo. You will have a script, O2 create Kind cluster. If you run this, it's just going to run the Kind cluster create command, or Kind create cluster. I can never remember the order. Using our config, we now have a Kubernetes cluster, or at least we will have in just one moment. And it looks like we have our teleport course control plane ready. We can run kubectl cluster info, kubectl get pods, all namespaces. This is our local Kubernetes cluster configured for the current context. Perfect. All right, let's pop open and actually take a look at script 3. This is going to give us our cert-manager cluster. Now, all this is doing is adding the Jetstack, why is it still Jetstack? Helm chart repository, and then running a Helm install cert-manager. And the only thing we're actually going to set is just that we want it to deploy the CRDs. Once cert-manager exists, it's actually not that useful until you provide an issuer. Here we can have a self-signed issuer in the cert-manager namespace. We can then create our certificate. This is our root certificate for our teleport instance. It's going to use this certificate. And here we're just saying this is a certificate authority. We want to use this to mint new certificates and provide some scaffolding of the common name and secret name, etc. Once we have that, we can create a cluster issuer, which the teleport will use as we progress through this demo. So a little bit of cert-manager work to be done, but it's all automated and available. You can copy and paste or run these scripts yourself. So let's kick that off and come back in just a moment. Sweet. Now, because I like to check our work, we'll run kubectl, get pods, all namespaces. We can see cert-manager. We can see our webhook and our CA injector. This is the perfect setup for moving on to step 4. So let's pop open O4. Now this is pretty much no op. It's just going to help us understand our teleport value file for our Helm install. Like so. But of course we could just run through this file directly. Okay, so here we have chart mode standalone. This is just because it's a standard Kubernetes deployment with no cloud provider integration. Go check out the Helm charts documentation if you're deploying to GCP or AWS. Then we have the cluster name, which we're going to swap out as part of our installation script. So we'll leave this as teleport domain placeholder for now. Then we've got proxy listener mode. Of course, I love multiplex mode. Use multiplex mode. We only want to poke one hole into our cluster and get all of the teleport goodness. Then we have a replica count to 1. We can change this in production. We could run 3 of these if we want. But right now, we're just going to focus on getting this deployed to our local kind cluster. Which means, of course, we don't need Acme either because we're going to use the in-cluster cert-manager for a self-signed certificate. We could use Acme with teleport directly. But right now, we just want to get this deployed so that I can show you all the cool features. With that being said, we then have 05, which is our Helm install. You can see here, we add the Helm repository, we update the chart, we do an env subst with our values that we need. These can be provided via envrc and dartn or some other ability for you to get environment variables into your pipeline. We then run a Helm upgrade install and bam, we will get our cluster. So let's throw this at our kind cluster and this will take just a moment. And in fact, while we wait, let's split this tab, get pods, run our watch, and we can see here we have our auth and our proxy spinning up. Not quite ready yet, but again, they will be there in just a moment. Voila. Now we have teleport deployed to our cluster with both pods happy, healthy, and running. So let's run verify deployment, and it speaks to the teleport proxy and verifies that we can access the cluster. So now we can sign in. But to do that, we're going to run another script, create admin user. We can click our web invitation and just fix our port number. And now we can provide our password, like so. We click next. We set up our 2FA. I'll just save this to 1Password. And now we have access to our teleport cluster. Perfect. So what was in the create admin user script? Well, this does a tctl user to add admin with editor and access to the root user, essentially creating a teleport admin account. It just does this by kubectl execing into the teleport namespace and a pod and running teleport control. But this was quick, dirty, good for dev, not quite ready for production. So let's elevate this to the next step. So here we have my real Rockcode Cloud production deployment of teleport. We're using FluxCD and we have a Helm resource. The GitOps part is not that important for this. This is just automating the Helm deploy using the same Helm chart that we used earlier. If we scroll down, we can see my production values for the Helm release. That is, it runs on teleport.rockcode.cloud using the multiplexer. Did I mention that was one of my favorite features? We do have Acme enabled, so Teleport is actually managing its own X509 TLS certificates via Acme and Let's Encrypt using Rockcode Academy email address. And we have some persistence here using my Maya store setup. Again, not important just now. If you're running on JKE, AWS, etc., just use their CSI provider. For the Rockcode Academy, I just need one replica. Of course, you could bump this up if you want to have resiliency and redundancy across your cluster with a cluster IP service. Now in the Rockcode Academy production cluster, we are using the Gateway API via Cilium. So we do have our TLS route configured like so, which is the new Gateway API spec. I won't get into that here, but it is not replaceable. But it'll be what you're using in the future instead of Ingress if you aren't already using it now. And this also needs a reference grant because we do need to give this the ability to communicate or expose other services within our cluster. So that is my production deployment for Teleport using the Helm chart via a Flux CD deployment. It's not that dissimilar from what we have, just deploying it to a local kind cluster. There's just a few little things you may need to tweak for your setup. I'll see you in the next video. Access the right way.